So I've got the instrument kind of mocked up here before I put the first coat of poly on here. The oil is cured, but I'm going to use this opportunity before I put the final finish on there to draft out the tailpiece. So I've just cut some pieces of paper here because I have some ideas in mind for a shape, and this way I can kind of see it all together before I commit to one and then do all the metal magic stuff. Alright, so here are my options, and I settled on a shape, but then I have iterations of that detailed shape stuff. So I'm mimicking the headstock, and I think it has this beautiful kind of flower-esque Art Deco, style. So I don't know if I want to do a long one that actually kind of mimics the proportions of the top, or a short one, like so, that makes it feel more delicate and kind of dainty. I like both of those options. I have a middle range one. And so I think if I was going to go with a solid, I would go with the short one. I think I kind of like that look. So set that one aside. But I could also do one that's cut out, which I think would be really beautiful. And so I don't know what to do. If I want to do a short carved out one or a long carved out one. I just can't decide. So my instinct is the long carved out one would be nice, or the short one of these. So I gotta sit here and make a decision and see which one we want to do. Kind of imagining it with a bridge and strings and all that stuff. I just don't know. I like the delicate nature of this thing. I may have to run with that. Shoot, I might just make two. We'll see. Yeah. Okay. So this is going to be quite a bit of work to give you guys the layout of what's going to happen. You'll see it here. I got to not only cut this shape out of metal and bend it in half, but before I bend it, I need to drill the holes for the pins where the strings ride on, and drill the holes where the strings go through to add pressure down. And then I have to weld it onto my post that I'll clean off from the spray paint. That will go right there. So that's where my post will go. My tailpiece will ride on top of that, just like that. Okay, let me make a decision and then I'll start cutting one. Alright, I've decided on this mid-size hollow one, and so I am going to just trace this out. I have this on a bracket that I used to have as part of a large-scale sculpture that held up boats and on a wall. And so I'm just going to reuse this metal because it's the right thickness for the tailpiece I want, and it's available. So we'll draw this out and then cut it out, drill holes, and weld it up. So as you can see, this is going to take forever, but I think it's going to be worth it. Bit. All right, so I got them all cut out, and I just went in with a little rotary tool and a diamond burr bit, and went in and just double rounded, made sure all that stuff was good to go. I also made some little pivots for the strings to go through to make sure that they're not hitting any hard spots. So now I'm going to go down, we're going to cut this out on the metal bandsaw, tune it up. I need to weld on the, what do you call it, post, and bend it. I'll probably weld it, well, I'll probably bend it first, then weld it. So let's go downstairs. Well, I'll go downstairs, you can follow along, and we'll go knock this out. So there's our shape. I'll clean it up with some files just around the edges, and then we'll get to bending it. Alright, so I've just sanded off the paint that you saw. I'll get a final finish on it in a little while. I transferred my line to the back with a scribe line in there for where I'm going to bend it. So I'm going to put it, I have a 48-inch brake here. And this thing was actually being thrown away when I first moved here to Kentucky. And so I salvaged this guy, but my students kept putting round stock in it, trying to bend it at a corner. It's ridiculous. So I had a few dents in it that I had to clean up, but it served me well. But I've left it on the floor here for over a decade, just near the door. That's where it works for us. Alright. Sorry. Move you there. Now I want it past 90 by just a little bit, so it adds a little down pressure. Just a hair though. Yeah. And there we go. Okay. So now I'll have to weld on the post, make some string holding knobs, and finish cleaning this up. But I'm pretty stoked on that. That'll start looking good. All right, so there we go. I've got the tailpiece welded up. That was a little stressful. I want to make sure I get dead straight and not warp anything with the heat. And so I just did a couple of MIG tacks behind the back and then welded it on solid. I had to re-drill one of my holes because it was right in the middle of that post, but I'm going to TIG weld that once I put the posts in and set those inside. Kind of like a hot rivet in a way, but not really, just going to weld it from the back. But anyways, so I'm excited about this. We'll get the tailpiece wrapped up. I'll have a little bit of final cleanup and some paint, but let's move on to making these pins to hold the strings. All right, there's my 5 little knobs. They're just held in there by friction right now, but I will just weld them in place from the back side, and then that should be that. Good to go. All right, here's our tailstock, all short and stout. There's my little pegs all welded up, as you saw before. So I need to do some serious cleanup on this and then get it painted. And so I gotta figure out the paint that I wanna do on it. I might do a little like fade ombre kind of thing on it, from gray to white maybe. So anyhow, I'm gonna lightly sand and scuff everything. I'm gonna refile these edges and clean up some stuff. And then we'll paint it up and get it moving forward. All we have left is a bridge and a nut. I think that's it. I could be wrong, I'll probably forget something. But that's exciting because this has been a long time coming. So let me get this sanded up, worked on, and then we'll paint it up. Using a piece of Catalox to fit for the nut. Needs to be just a little thinner. So we'll get this guy trimmed up. So I always use my crosscut size to start the cut. I know it's kind of unusual, but it's what really works for me. Is I start that cut with the cross cut, and then after that groove is established, I can use the rip. But if you use a rip right away, especially how aggressive this rip cut is, it'll just pop and tear everything out. So on an English saw, I would just push. But on this one, I want to be careful. So I started with that one, and then I'll do it on this one. And there we go. So there's our nut. We'll get it totally fit in position and finish shaping it. Now I'm not hammering it in to be a tight fit. This is just a controlled way of making sure it all fits nice and neat. I can pull it out easy enough. Alright. So there we go. Catalox nut in place. Nice and seamless fit. So now once I put the strings on, I will do the final shaping of this. I can take it in and out. No big deal. Alright, so shape it, strings on, bridge time, and then I think we'll be good to go. That's exciting. So everybody does this part differently. Some people remove the nut and mark it off and shape it. Some people do all sorts of weird things. What I like to do is actually shape it in place. That way I can feel it. I know that it's a sturdy fit. So I'm just going to take a block plane here and lightly take the edge off. I've marked my edge in case I take it out. So I'm just slowly working it down till it's even. Now normally I do this against my thigh. So I can do that with you guys here. Like this. Okay. Almost there. Check that out. Getting close. I'll take it down just a little bit more and put a bevel on it, and then I can lay out my strings.